All right, we'll start with an opening statement on the Tennessee game.
On paper, maybe the worst matchup for us all year when you see average size and style of play and pace of play and things like that. So they've got a formula that's it's been really hard for us to crack. Shot blockers, I think they lead the country in block shots and can stay in front of you. So it's a formula that we've yet to crack. They are obviously on a little bit of a 4-game losing streak. They'll be, I'm sure, very, very focused. And it'll be the toughest matchup we've had probably in a couple weeks, certainly since South Carolina.
So just start from the standpoint of what you got to try to be be the best version of you,
yes.
right?
Yes. And that means stops to run, get in transition, to get open before they get set up and be able to use their length. We're going to have to make some mid-range shots, which everybody knows is not my favorite thing or our favorite thing to try to do. But we've been doing it the last few games. That's how people are trying that formula out. So we've Amber Ramirez, Toll-Free, Chelsea getting her jump shot back. Michaela made a bunch of mid-range shots. IT hit a couple. So we've got to be that. And then I think you have to have a little extraordinary effort in rebounding. We worked really hard yesterday on getting those ones that are loose on the floor and the long rebounds. Again, we're not going to get the ones that bounce off the side of the rim, and we can't get there, but we can get all those other ones. So best version of ourselves, we need to continue to shoot it well and have a really good plan defensively. You don't stop them, you hope to slow them down a little bit.
What are you guys, going forward these last 4 or 5? I mean, again, I know you're going to go one at a time, but still,
try to get to 9.
Yeah, and try to get the one. But
yeah.
It's a big group here the last couple of weeks.
And it's okay to look at them in pods. I mean, we've done it all year long. We've looked at it and up before, 4 games till a bye, 3 games after bye, these before you do that. It's okay to look at them in pods, and it's a daunting pod. You've got 3 of the biggest, most successful teams in our league over the last 5 years, and then you got a hot Florida team. Florida's got 5 wins now in our league, and they're playing well at home. So it's a really hard pod, but trying to get to 9. We've been taking it that 6 to 7 to 7 to 8, and we're sitting on 8, which only one other team ever has had. So if we can get to 9, we'll be in rare air, and the kids know that. There is a lot to play for. They watch TV and they watch these SEC games and see people talking about the potential of a double bye, which again none of us have ever been a part of. We've played ourselves out of Wednesday games. We can't play on Wednesday. We may play on Thursday, but there's a possibility we don't have to play till Friday of the SEC tournament. So making sure you talk about it, making sure you embrace it and have them prepared for it. But this 4-game little stretch, last year we were in the midst of losing 8 out of 9. And that was hard. This will be hard in a different way in that the quality of the opponents are against 3 of the best teams that in the SEC has had in the last 10 years.
I know Tennessee's in a bit of a tailspin right now, but what does beating the Tennessee Lady Vols still mean?
Tailspin means it's a product of who they've been playing. I mean, it's they're still a standard bearer. It's Pat Summitt's legacy will never be forgotten for sure, and it's always going to carry an extra pop when you hear Tennessee Lady Vols. So I know that in their transition year to a new head coach, they've played incredibly hard, and they're playing incredibly hard for her, incredibly hard for the legacy. I know they don't like to keep hearing the losing streak, but I wish it's almost like that Mario Mendoza. I've been talking a lot about Mario Mendoza a lot. I wish we could all fail to succeed so well because they're 7-5, and people are used to them being 15-0 or whatever, but they're still formidable. They're still a team that is got to be talked about for NCAA tournament berths, and they've never missed one. So until they do, I'm not going to fall for that one.
How's your team handling this success, after the last couple games compared to maybe, say, the Vanderbilt game?
Yeah. seem to be handling it pretty well. They're focused in practice. You know, we try to strip 5 minutes of practice back each week, starting in Thanksgiving. So we've played pretty well for the last 2 weeks. So we've stripped it back. Like yesterday, we were on the floor for an hour and 5 minutes, and that flies by the time you stretch and you do all that thing. And next thing you know, you're yelling, "Bring it in!" But they've been incredibly focused. They've used, you know, even if they're not on the floor in a rep, they're watching it, and you're using every rep as their rep. So I hope that continues to carry over. I think in our last 6 years, mid to late February, even though last year we were in a losing streak, we were playing pretty good. We were just playing better teams. So I'm going to give them an A on that, the way they've handled the preparation, the success, the pats on the back. Anytime you score 211 points in 2 games, you know, everybody fills up your timeline. People want to make videos out of your transition. I got 4 or 5 phone calls from people. How are y'all doing it? Can you send me some video? And it's hard not to let success stop you or slow you down. So I think we learned our lesson when that happened prior to the Georgia game. You only have to get smacked in the mouth so many times before you realize you don't want to do that again. So I do think we learned our lesson in that and grew from it a little bit. That's a good point. I need to bring that up to the team. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Mike, you talked about taking the 2-point shots. It felt like a month ago you had open 15, 16-foot jump shots and you didn't want to take it because it's, you know, just part of what you don't want to do. But as they defend the 3 and defend the paint, does that become organic? Is this something you move towards?
Well, the ones you're talking about, Brett, I felt like we could have still driven it. I felt like we were settling for those. If that's what they're going to give us, then I'm okay taking them. And I think in our overbearingness as coaches to tell them to keep driving it, we kept driving it into an immovable force. So now when we've given them the okay, like if the force is there, if the wall is built, shoot it before they get there. And I think it takes a little bit of time to deprogram that, because we did. We were take it to the rim or drive it deeper and kick it was our answer. And those things do tend to kind of come in cycles as people get more film on us and come up with different game plans. But what has been open lately is the 15-footer, the pull-up after you've separated from one level of defense and before the second level gets there. And I don't think Taylor and Kiera and Rowe the last few weeks too get the credit for how good of screens they're setting. You know, Rokia has been really good for the last month, playing 3 different positions. She subs for Lex or Amber first, and then she stays for the other one, and then she stays for Chelsea. That's been our rotation for the last probably 10 games, and she's been phenomenal in that, playing the 3 spots and going from screener to mover. She had 6 assists, no turnovers the other night. By far her best game of her collegiate career. So that's what they're going to give us. I don't know what Tennessee will do. I mean, they've played a lot. They've played some zone. They've played some man. Our practice schedule has had to be a little bit wider because we don't have a good scouting report on Coach Harper yet. We know how she's played in the past at Missouri State, but not at Tennessee. So there's not as much out there. I think they could zone us. I think they could man us. I think they could full court press us. It could be a little bit of anything. So as we're trying to shorten practice, we have to be really, really good in the few minutes that we're putting in because there's a lot to cover.
I was going to ask, what he just said, isn't a little bit of that a product of some of your better opponents, though, or
Sure.
more skilled opponents?
Sure, yeah, the ability to play different ways, yeah. Yeah, more depth, more experience, more being accustomed to playing at the top and having a lot on the line in mid-February, late February. You know, this is new for this team. And I think there's a certain level of comfort that maybe we've gotten into the NCAA tournament. Nothing's given, but now what do you do? You know, can you stay and maintain that edge to get that 9th win that makes it automatic, or a 10th win, which now you're bringing in where you're seated at. Now you've got something to play for there. Hey, now you win these other 2. Now maybe you're hosting. There's just so many potential, but you can't do any of those until you get that first one. So I do think our group has that mindset down pretty pat. They handle that pretty well. Whether or not it's been part of being an 8-game losing streak or a 5 out of 6 winning streak either.
Any other questions about Tennessee? Okay, Coach, can you talk a little bit about Florida on Sunday?
Sure. like I said a little bit a minute ago, playing really well right now. I mean, this is a team that's got 5 wins, and they've got 4 games left that I'm sure they're looking at thinking they've got a chance to win, especially with ours going down there the next week. One thing going to be kind of unique, I don't know if you may not even know this yet, Mario, I just found out from her, but Kelsey Plum's going to be on the TV call, which is going to be kind of a cool thing. Scared to death what she's going to say about us, but I'll try to bribe her up pretty good till then. But it's going to be good to see her. If you don't follow her on social media, she just posted one of the coolest pics I've ever seen for a kid. She's taken a shot at the All-Star game last week, and LeBron, Anthony Davis, Kawhi, and James Harden are standing right behind her, just locked in on her shooting. Like they're not looking at their phones, they're not signing autographs. They are out there watching Plum shooting, and it was a really cool thing I think to see 4 of the icons of the NBA locked in on Kelsey out there shooting. It's really cool. You go to Instagram, you'll find it. Pat's pulling it up for everybody right now, I can tell. But she'll be on the call. But back to Florida, they outplayed us for a 8 to 10 minute spurt here. I'm sure they'll use that. They're playing better. They'll be at home. We saw last night what a tough environment that place can be. It's in the O'Connell Center's in an auditorium. It's hot. It's it's a different environment for all of us to be in. It will really challenge our togetherness on a road trip for sure. They've got a kid who was the SEC Freshman of the Week in Lavender Briggs that can really is explosive. A tough matchup for us because of her combination of speed and quickness. And a team that likes to run with us. It'll be an up and down game, whenever you play Florida.
You guys were able to get them in a little foul trouble here, though, right? If I recall.
Yeah, they got after us, and we got a lot of early foul calls on them. It changed. It changed the complexion of the game and how we were able to get to the foul line and get them in a little bit of foul trouble. So you don't count on that happening every night. We'll try to do that again, but they've got synergy in film like we do. They'll go back and they'll make some adjustments. We'll have to do something different than we did here. That's always the challenge against these double opponents. Is not only do they have film on you, they have personal points of reference having had played you already. Road rules in effect. Yeah, those. If we can get past the kids, we used that at Ole Miss the other night. It was always funny when we mentioned those. But yeah, if we can get through Thursday when we get ready for Florida, we'll certainly on Saturday practice Friday and Saturday have road rule implementations.
All good, everybody?
All right.